Welcome, my dear Sagittarius. Today is the spring equinox, and the spring equinox begins the new year through Aries. And so the sun in your deck is the rebirth, and there's a rebirth in the way we see the emperor. And the emperor here is the commander, the one that commands, right? And he sits here in front of the fire and he knows exactly what he has or must do, right, to succeed as a commander. And so this is a very important day. We have equal day and equal night, and so the point is here in the center, in the third eye, so we can reach the seventh chakra. And this is what sun in Aries means, right? So there's a rebirth, there is a new year beginning, and we recognize that through Aries. Aries is the one that says, well, I'm just gonna meditate and I'm just gonna go see what I can do. And at the same time, the sun is giving the light to the moon, and the moon is always the grandmother. She is bringing us the seeds in the dreams, and the moon being in your sign, we recognize that we want to plant new seeds in how we're blending the masculine and the feminine, these two cups, right? And so for you, I have here Paschimottanasana. We are bowing down, we are bringing the upper and the lower part together, and in there we recognize that we find the true angelic personality that we have deep within us, right? And so today I feel to create more collective reading, because there is so much more going on than just sun that has moved now into Aries and moon in your sign. There is Venus that is the empress, the pendant to the emperor, that is going retrograde. And we have Mercury, which is also in Aries, that is retrograde since the 15th of March. And so Mercury and Venus together, they are now in Aries retrograde, and that's quite an interesting aspect that we should look at. And on the 30th of March, we have Neptune, which is the vision, that is moving into Aries as well. And so today I want to create a bigger reading, reading that is, of course, for you, my dear Sagittarius, because the moon is in your sign, and so I get the information through you as well. So two fire signs are coming together. But I want to make this a bigger reading for all, right? Because it's the beginning of a whole new year, and it's also the beginning of here Neptune, the planet of dreams, right? And this is where then the connection is to the moon. Here in your dreams, you are getting the seeds from your grandmothers, from your ancestors. And so it's really important that we envision the next year. How do we want to live it, right? And then, of course, Venus, the planet of love and beauty and money, and Mercury, the planet of the mind and the resources, right? And of course, these two, right, are now retrograde in Aries. And so I think I want to do a bigger reading. I've never done this before like this, so it's a new one. I did the German reading and it worked really well, so I decided to do it also now here in this reading. You are, of course, the eagle, and the eagle is the one that looks from above down to this world and keeps flying, right? Because you're the ninth house of learning and believing, and in there In the number 9, there is the completion. If you know how to meditate, if you know that the commander meditates, that the commander knows how to access through the third eye the seventh chakra, right? And even though he's the number 4, he still is the brain. That's where his body part is. Your body part are the thighs, right? And so usually you sit on a horse, and it's the only horse that really goes up with the front legs, and you need strong thighs to hold that horse, right? So that you're not falling off. But here it's the eagle, the totem of pipes, the flyers, right? So you flying up because you're Sagittarius, the one that wants to discover the world. And so we're going to look at all of these stations. And back to the last reading, you had Pisces sun giving Sagittarius moon the light. The message was trust what you've worked on and inspire others to do the same. So I can always see what cards came up, right? So that I can see if there is again a card wanting to talk to you, and there is not a card that is repeating itself, and so it feels like you done the work, right? And we can begin this reading. Important for you to understand that we are going to the right. That's going to the full moon, which you get in your opposite sign. So when the bird is pointing to the right, when I look from an outer perspective, then it's this, I go out to the full moon. But when I become the card, I see that he's looking to the left. So then it becomes an inner state of consciousness. And to the left is when we go to the new moon. So we have 6 months the reading to the right and 6 months the reading to the left. So we begin. We begin with Aries, right? Because it's a little different. So Aries, what is Aries getting? So Aries has his own deck, and the lovers have come up, and that's Gemini. And Gemini is here the number 6. The 6 and the 4 is the 10. So immediately you have here a completion. You have here a new cycle that is beginning, and that's what's happening also for you, right? You feel this. You are inspired by Aries because you are a fire sign, and he is the Queen of Wands, and you are the Knight of Wands, and in there you can see that you still learning, while Aries is of course a queen, right? And you are a knight, and here you have Gemini, and Gemini is giving you the light for your full moon. So Gemini is your opposite, and in that opposite you find the union, the self-love, the true self-love, and in there is then the 10. And so here Aries brings to all of us this kind of feeling. Now, what is Gemini saying? It's the Queen of Swords, a Libra that is coming up. And Libra is opposite of Aries, right? We're going to have now Aries that gives Libra the full moon in this month, right? And so we recognize here the 4 and the 7 is the 11, and the 11 is a portal. And the 11 is then an inner knowing that something is really shifting now, right? Now the new year is beginning, and now is the day of the equinox, the equal day and the equal night. And of course, the further up we go, the less the equinox is actually happening, right? We also have to see, where are we? From which standpoint are we seeing, of course, now this moment? And you see that she's looking to the right, but if I become her, she is looking to the left, right? She always consults with the within, right? She is the Queen of Swords. So the 11 and the 6 together, we have the 17. The 17 is Aquarius, and Aquarius is the star, is like, I want to be someone that is really being of significance. Now, what is she bringing? What is she saying? We're getting here the 10 of Swords. This is now really important for you to understand. It's the end of how you have been thinking. But it's also the Sun in Gemini, and so here we have the Lovers, which is Gemini, soul aspect. And now when the Sun is in Gemini, that's when you getting your full moon. So there is a sign coming to you that's saying, yes, you are gonna have a big shift when the Sun is in Gemini. You're gonna have your full moon. And so it's really important for you to understand that, because the 10 and the 7 is the 17. Again, Aquarius, you are a star. You are ready to be a star. So here's the 17, which then turns into an 8. Here's the 10 and the 8. That's the 18, and the 18, that's the grandmother that is planting the seed in your head for your next adventure, for your next, where are you want to grow into, where from your subconscious and your feelings, where do you want to go, right? And then the 18 turns into a 9, and the 9 is the completion. In there, you understand very clearly there is a big message that is coming to you, for you particularly, Sagittarius, but also for us, right? We all feel this. And so she's looking at the 10 of Swords, and she's like, yeah, that's when you're gonna get your full moon, my dear Sagittarius, right? So understand that and connect with that. Now, the next aspect is we're looking at the Sun, right? The Sun is the rebirth, and the Sun has also its own deck, and we get the purity, the eyes. And so the 19 turns into a 10, right? And here we have the 33, and the 33 I leave. That's a portal. And that's mastery. So you have mastered something, and you see the horse here. Now, you are sitting on a horse, right? But here, of course, in this deck, you are an eagle. Now, the horse is representative for speed, for that I can take care of things, because you are a knight, and so you are coming into a real understanding of mastery. What does mastery mean? And you coming into this rebirth moment of mastery, right? And so you are seeing that the Sun now in Aries is bringing you the understanding that yes, you should always love yourself, right? You should always look out and see that everything has a cycle, everything has its moment. And so it's clear, right, that you are realizing the mastery of this rebirth, of this moment where the Sun is actually in Aries. And so Aries, like we had the Lovers, right? And so this mastery is bringing a deep, deep self-love, a deep self-love that no one can give you. It's not about a relationship. It's about the most purest relationship, about yourself. Good. Now we're going to look at the moon. The moon is in your sign, and the moon brought you the benefactor, the grace and the generosity of the number 3. And you see here these two lovebirds, right? And it reminds me, of course, of this. So the 6 and the 3 is the 9, and here the 18 is a 9. So we have a 9-9 portal. And you feel that this love is bringing you something really empowering, because it's almost like you're coming into a trance. This is the Amnamita muscaria mushroom, right, that gets us high. And so you are seeing that something clearly is wanting to let you know, yes, you are in a relationship, you are with a partner, you are having here the grace and the generosity that self-love brings to us, right? When we love ourselves, people can feel that. People know they cannot do whatever with you, right? And so that's where then also this comes in, right? Where you are in the mastery, because the 33 in the 3 is 3 times the 3, and 3 times the 3 is like you are empowered by the way you are now living your life, and it's almost like you planted those seeds, right? Now the moon in Temperance, right, in your sign, is bringing from Temperance the Ace of Stones. Look at that. So here, this is up here, right? And the blending is bringing the Ace of Pentacles. And the Ace of Pentacles is that amount of money, is the purest money there is. And in that purity, that money brings you to the 4. And the 4, that is then connecting you back to the commander, to Aries. And Aries is the one that is clearly knowing what to do with this money, right? It's new money. That money has not been tainted by the patriarch or by people who have done bad things, right, with money. And so this is the new fresh money that you are now seeing and that you are creating, because you are blending. Now the 14 plus the 1 is the 15. Don't get attached, right, to nothing. Always be vigilant, because the 15 is Capricorn, is of course the attachment to money, the attachment to the career, to the financial success, right? Come into a 6, because the 15 then turns into a 6, and the 6 again is here the Lovers, right? Remember, love yourself and then everything will fall into place. And the 4, of course, that's Aries, right? And so you see that also here the 18 plus the 3 is the 21. The whole world is dreaming of a new paradigm, is dreaming of having the benefactor of a partner that is you, right? Not another person. You don't rely on another person. You rely on you only, and then the person comes to you that also relies on himself, and together you then have fun, right? And that's then the 21, the world. The world would be another place if all people would understand this concept, right? And it's not just a concept, it's a lifestyle that I'm choosing to live. And the 3 is left. So this is left, right, from the 21 that we calculated together. So this through the moon that is bringing you now this information. Now we're going to the Sagittarius court card, right, the Knight of Wands, and the first card that came is the 9 of Arrows. So you have here a 9-9 portal, and this is Mars in Gemini. Now you had Sun in Gemini, now you have Mars in Gemini, and Aries is ruled by Mars, and we're going to look at the Tower, because Aries is playing a big importance now in this reading, right? Because this is the new year, this is the beginning, and in Aries is Mars connected. And so we see the 10 and the 9 is the 19. That's the Sun. You are learning to be in a rebirth state of consciousness, because this is the mind. And the only way to access the mind is if you meditate, if you go deep within and see that deep within, you can come to a 10. The 10 is the end. The 10 and the 9 then again is the 19, and the 10 is left. And so the 10 is saying, well, observe and know that when you get your full moon, that's when you are clearly knowing where to focus on. And she is pointing the arrow at the bird. It's almost like this wants to shoot you. You see what I mean? It's like this is Mars in Gemini, and Gemini is gonna shoot you, is gonna help you, right, to really fly high. Otherwise, this nightmare can shoot you and kill you up in the sky, but the eagle can fly so high that no one can shoot you. But here you have a 9-9 portal, 2 times the 9. This is really powerful. Now, what is coming from the Mother Piece Tarot? We get Taurus to the right, And Taurus to the right, upright, is literally saying, well, this is where the organized religions are kind of ending. It's almost like you feel the 9 and the 5 is the 14. That's you, right? And you are realizing that now the church is declined by so many people because they don't feel it's talking to them anymore. People are waking up, and so the 14 is clearly saying you shoot your own self. You kill your own self, right? And so Taurus is here, and Taurus is literally saying, well, observe what you're doing here, because then the 5 is left. And so here the Hierophant, the spiritual teaching, is to recognize that we shoot our own selves, that we actually do harm to our own selves, sometimes by default, right? We don't know that we're doing it. Then I want to see what is, of course, Taurus saying, and Taurus is bringing you the 10 of Wands, which is Saturn in Sagittarius, and this is talking to you. So you are ending a cycle of doing too much, because if you calculate the 5 and the 10 together, you see a 15 here again, and that's, of course, Capricorn. That's the devil. That's the attachment again to doing so much for what? For your career? For the Ace of Stones? No, the Ace of Stones is that kind of money that comes when you are in self-love, when you bring the 5 and the 10 together into the 6, and the 6 we know are the lovers, is Gemini. Gemini is bringing you, right, when the sun is in Gemini, the liberation of the full moon. And so you see here is a very strong message for all of us. We are going to ending this working hard and being under a hierarchy and being in a belief system that's shooting our own selves on the ego perspective is God, is that higher perspective that we need to start taking on, right? And when we calculate this all together, we have the 9-9, right? So that's the 18 again, the grandmothers are coming up, and then the 9 is left. Here we have then the 15, it's the 6 and the 9 is the 15 again. So you have to go through this understanding that it's not always the more you work, the better it is, right? But these 10 of Wands are helping you to overcome the 10 of Swords. Do what must be done. And then you see the 6 is left in all of this. And that's then again the self-love, the 6, right? Love yourself, and then you understand that everything you do makes sense because you're not doing it because you want to make money. This kind of money you cannot get by doing this, even though there's a 1 in it, but there's also the 0, and the 0 is the Fool, right? You cannot get that, and so understand. Now we're going to look at Neptune. Neptune is the vision. And what is the vision? I have a special deck for that, and that's Carolyn Miss, and Carolyn Miss is bringing you the dilettante. And the dilettante is kind of like, well, what vision of yourself do you have to recognize that we're going to look at the dark side of the dilettante? And I'm going to read you both versions. So the light version is, or the light attribute of the dilettante is, delights in the arts without having to be a professional, alerts you to the danger of becoming superficial in your pursuits. Now the shadow attribute is pretension to much deeper knowledge than you actually possess. So understand that your vision is to be an artist, to be someone that delights itself and also helps others to realize, well, just do what you have to do. Just enjoy. Just become the lovers. Just see that everything has its moment, that you are here coming out of a slumber, coming out of the darkness into the light, into the 33, 3 times 3 with this 3, right? And so the 12 turns also into a 3. Then you have 4 times the 3, and 4 times the 3 is have a heart to see and look at that. Now Neptune is ruling Pisces, and so I checked into the deck of Pisces, and the 6 of Swords is coming. That's the burden. That's Mercury in Aquarius. And we had Aquarius here with the 17, the 10 of Swords and the Queen of Swords, which is Libra, right? So we had the 17, and that's Aquarius. Now we have Mercury in Aquarius, and Mercury is in Aries in retrograde. And he is pointing at this card. Look at that. He is holding himself on his back. He has here the cock that is letting him know, well, why don't you listen to your ego? Why don't you listen to that part in you? And it's almost like he's pointing at this, right? And it's like, well, here is the dark side, and it's kind of like there is something intrinsically clear when we learn, because that's what the Mercury in Aquarius is all about. When we learn about the world, the life, the mystery, then we understand that we have to get into the light aspect of the dilettante. And so here you are, look at you, it's so powerful. You see that? So the 6 and the 12 is the 18, and so the moon in your sign is bringing you this information, right? It's bringing it to all of us, but of course also to you, my dear Sagittarius, right? So I'm trying to read it to all, but also to you particularly. So you see that the 12 and the 6 is the 18. The 18 again is the 9, a completion, right? And I understand that already 2 times the 9 came, the 9 of Aries came, right? And in the 9 of Aries we see, yeah, I am shooting my own self, right? That was her shooting the eagle out of the sky. And so here you have another 9, and you're learning to understand that the 9 is the completion. And so this is what's coming from Neptune, right? You are going to see more clearly the visions of not being here a burden to yourself, right? So maybe this is what you're shooting, right? Maybe this is where you're pointing the error at, that you are clearly understanding sometimes I need to kill my own ego, right? But I mean, the cock cannot fly, but it's also a bird, right? I need to kill my own ego that sometimes is really in the way, right? And so you know what is talking to you. Good. So now we're going to look at Mars. Mars is the pierced shield, and the pierced shield is the number 16, the Tower. And the Tower also has its own deck. We get the Bear. And the Bear is letting you know that now Mars, being the ruler of the emperor, of the commander, it's almost like you are waking up from a deep slumber. It's almost like you're waking up out of here, this ice, because the bear sleeps exactly here. He sleeps during the winter, and then the summer, the Aries summer solstice, right, is waking him up, because now the rays of the sun is literally letting him know, wake up. And so the 16 turns into the 7, and we had the 7 through Libra. She is letting you know, wake up of this slumber, because he's the first earth animal, right? And so it's clear he's looking to the right, but actually he is going to see deep within that now he has to wake up, because here is a revolution. Here is something that is shifting. And so the 7 and the 1 is the 8, and the 8 is having the strength to wake up and go out there again and live your life. What is coming through Aries? We get the 8 of Cups. And the Eight of Cups is Saturn in Pisces. Now we had Saturn here in Sagittarius, which was the Ten of Wands. And the Ten of Wands, we know it's sometimes oppression. So you're waking up out of your slumber and you are looking up at the full moon, which is coming soon, right? And you know that Gemini is here, is going to give you, Sagittarius, the light for your full moon. And you know that you have to move on. You know that emotionally you need to go forward. So the 8 and the 1 is the 9. The 9 and the 7 is the 16. So the 16 is here to let you know, or let us know, that we need to protect ourselves, that we need to awaken to a whole new consciousness, right? And in that consciousness, we leave something that's really good. So good that people ask you, why you're leaving? Well, because I am looking up at the moon and I know there is something out there that's even better what I have, right? And this is really risky for a lot of people. That's why they don't do it. But someone that has the guts to wake up, right, and come out of this protective shield, right, which is Mars, the warrior, that is the push and the strength to go out there. And in that strength you awaken to a new you, to a new possibility, to be someone that knows what it wants. And the 7 is left, right? And so the 7 brings us back to her, right? So you are then the Queen of Swords. You embodying the Queen of Swords as the one that is as an eagle flying up here, right? So understand that she is coming to push you in that direction. Then we look at Jupiter. Jupiter is ruling, of course, you, my dear Sagittarius, and that's the harvest. So the harvest has also its own deck, and we get here the Under My Umbrella. And the beautiful thing here, we have the number 20, the 20 and the 10 is the 30. That's then the 3 and the 0. And the 3 is the Empress. That's the bounty. That's the fullness. That's the harvest, because you're helping. You are helping others. You are there for others. And when you are there for others, even though this umbrella is so small to this bird, and the bird doesn't really need your umbrella, but you do it anyway, and you get wet, and you are there, then you will have always plenty, because people remember that. People remember when you're there for them, then they will also be there for you. And so the 3 is appearing, the 3 and the 0. The 0 is the Fool that is Uranus. And in Uranus we recognize the revolution. So what is coming from your deck? Now, the rebirth is coming again, and I have 2 decks. From your deck I have the German one, right, so that you see that this card came up. And I have here also this is the English version, the rebirth, right? And here this is the German card, which is Wiedergeburt. Again, you're born again. So I'm just gonna put this down. And so you are born again, you have a rebirth by seeing this, right? And so the 19 and the 3 is the 22. And the 22, that's Uranus. Exactly what I said. Uranus, the new step towards the revolution. The 22, you have the 33, right? You have the 22, that's knowing that Uranus is bringing the revolution. And we had the 17, that's the star, right? We have 10 swords and 7 from Libra, and that's Aquarius, and Aquarius is the star, and Uranus is actually ruling Aquarius. And so you see that when you help others, right, then you are foolish enough to have a rebirth, to see that everything is gonna be amazing, right? But I can also calculate here the 19 into a 10. The 10 and the 3 is the 13. And the 13 is the transformation from Scorpio. And then, of course, that's the death. A new birth can only come if you let go of something old. And then the 4 is left. The 4 here, Aries. So Aries is pushing us now with the beginning of this new year, 2025, into realizing how important it is that we understand that Jupiter is the ideal, is the harvest. If we help, we will always have this most amazing moment here. Now, Venus, that's retrograde, is bringing you here the 11. So you have the 11, the 22, and the 33. You have the portals, right? And you have a 99 portal as well. But here you have the 11. Here you have Leo. Leo is having the strength to understand that even when Venus is retrograde, that the bounty is here, and that this is, of course, a date, the 3rd of November or the 11th of March. But I want to see what is, of course, Leo bringing, and Leo is bringing you the 7 of Wands. So you have 10 Wands and 7 Wands, that's 17 Wands. That's again Aquarius, that's again the star, right? And we had the star here. And that's, of course, the understanding that we all want to be a star now, and we all can be a star now. So the 7 and the 3 is the 10. There is a 1 again, there's 3 times the 1. And there's the 1 here of the Ace of Stones. I mean, it's amazing. And even the bear was the first animal, right? Earth animal. So the bear, and here the money, the new money, right? It's kind of like you understand now how important it is to awaken to your self-empowerment. And the 10 is then again a new beginning, right? The end, but also the new beginning. And so this is really beautiful, right? You understand that Venus is waking you up. Now, I also want to see what is, of course, Mercury in retrograde bringing, right, in Aries. And the potential is bringing you the medicine wheel. And this is it. The medicine wheel is saying, well, here is the 35, here is the eagle, here is you looking out, right? Flying out to the right, and knowing that here you can have the resources to create whatever you want to create. Then we have the snake, we have the jaguar, and we have the hummingbird, which is always the 3rd eye. And then here the 8, right? The 3 is again here the 3 of Venus. The bounty is with you. The bounty is with you. You are a master. You are coming out of the slumber. I mean, this is so powerful what is happening here. And the 5, right? The 5 are the 5 senses. You don't have a 5 here, but you understand that the 5 is always that moment where we recognize that's the 5 senses that we are living in, and the only liberation is the 6th sense, is the self-love, is the 3rd eye. And so the 8 and the 1 is the 9, and the 9 is, right, don't shoot the messenger, right? Don't shoot yourself, but in a way, kill your ego, kill that part in you that sometimes says, I gotta do this and I gotta do that, and it's really important. And remember, here's also a bird, right? And the number 20, that's the last judgment. That's Pluto. Pluto is in Aquarius right now, and that's why Aquarius is appearing here, and even Uranus is appearing through the 22, the Fool, this foolish step that you are taking. But here's the 9, and you know that even Mercury in retrograde right now in Aries is okay, because you have the medicine wheel that is bringing you to a deeper understanding that the sun has come, and the sun brought you the 33, and that you rested, and that you're strong, and that the winter is over, and that you're stepping out, because the sun is bringing a deep, deep rebirth to all of us. Amazing, right? So I hope I see you in the next reading, because that's when we get the sun in Taurus. Taurus is not here, because that's when we get the sun then in Taurus. Until then, I thank you all so much for being with me. Namaste.